So there was a viral before and after gym transformation that made the rounds on X and got, at this point, like 85 million views because there was a poll for what men and women thought of the before and after images. Most of the men in the poll said the after photo is more attractive, and most of the women said the before photo is more attractive.
So here's a side-by-side. I don't have the 85 million version you have, but it's this one.
That's the before and after
and
right
the
there.
meme before
Just click on this and show us the full view, okay? So first of all, one of the problems is that in the after photo, he's wearing tiny undies, which they look gay. Yeah. And in the first photo, he's just wearing like normal shorts. Yep. Then in the after photo, he's doing like this weird pose. He's like
the double point.
Yeah, the pointing in the air. Like that's kind of lame.
What? The double? You don't know the double point's cool.
Yeah.
This is the divide. I think the double point's cool.
And then you can also tell that in the before photo, he's already someone who's in good shape.
Right.
You can already tell that he's muscular and that he just has a higher body fat percentage.
So
really
the trope
all that
would be
happens,
like he works out, but he eats whatever he wants.
Yeah, but
and
like
in the second photo, he started diet appropriate.
The only difference between the before and after is that he went into a calorie deficit for 12 weeks. Like he had basically the same muscle mass in both photos.
This is the meme, though. Gym expectations once you start working out.
Yeah.
So true.
You expect all the women to go crazy, but really the bros are like, big man!
Well, that's when I saw this story. It felt like a massive containment breach because I thought the looks mixing was just the fellas. And I was like, the ladies know about this? All right, shut it down. Shut it down.
Close it off.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah. And the viral tweet that I saw said, "Why are women lying about this?
So
What's the actual cause?"
So this happens anytime Alan Richardson comes up in the news too, because whenever Reacher comes up, whenever they make an episode of Reacher, he has to be shirtless in at least 5 scenes, maybe more. And the dudes will be like, "Women want this," and the women are like, "We don't want this," and then they go back and forth and they argue. I'm assuming the men are thinking like the women are either A, lying, or B, they don't know what they want.
Well, I don't know what their incentive would be to lie in an anonymous poll. Like no one is gonna know.
We do live in a world now where it's like I don't remember what I was watching the other day, if it was like a clip from whatever, where like this woman says to this guy like, "You've got a nice dad bod," and he was like jacked.
Yeah.
Like
okay. No one. I feel like even the term dad bod got hijacked by fat people.
Well, it's because there's a huge fatherless problem. So they don't know what a dad bod is.
Maybe that's
it.
No, but the thing is, this guy was in really, really good shape, but he just wasn't like he wasn't freaking dried out. You know, like Wolverine in the new Deadpool and Wolverine. He wasn't in a total calorie deficit. So, and this woman's like, "Oh yeah, you've got a nice dad bod." Meanwhile, like 95% of people will never look like that.
But that's my point is that dad bod originally referred to a guy who has like good like muscle mass, but also a higher body fat percentage than the after photo here. That's all that dad bod meant. But then it got hijacked to mean that you have a gigantic beer belly and don't work out at all.
Right.
And that's never what dad bod was supposed to mean. I just think it's ridiculous to say that like women are lying in an anonymous poll where no one is going to know what their answer is. Like, I
don't know if they're talking about the poll or if they're talking about in general people that comment on it and say that, no, I prefer the first one. So,
okay, what do you guys think? Does he look better in the before or the after to you subjectively?
I mean, are we talking about like he objectively looks better in the second photo, but women are going to judge it on different criteria than men?
I don't think that's objective.
So
you would say your opinion is that he looks better.
He's in better shape in the second photo.
I would disagree with that. I don't think that's.
I don't think
that's
approach
objective.
Women do with makeup, or like this isn't for you. Like with the gym stuff, it's like, ladies, this isn't for you. This is for the fellas.
It's not. Yeah, I think that's why women find it unattractive.
And then the argument, I guess, like,
because you're like preening yourself for other men.
I do understand the argument. I do understand the argument that, like, look, like psychologically, you're going to look at the dude in the second photo. It's like he's going to care more about what he looks like than he is about me. Like he's going to be more focused on his gym routine than our relationship.
That's why with the old
like
statues,
evolutionarily, like I see that argument.
and that's what the old statues where the men are just completely cut. That was other men designing the statues. Like men have always been this way. Like this isn't a new thing.
Well, then in your opinion, do you think he looks better in the before or after?
He looks way better in the after, but I understand that the appeal, broadly speaking, is probably with, like, it's just, I'm seeing this, I'm like, yeah, this is how we've always been.
Like, women are looking at it from, like, the perspective of visual appeal. Guys look at it and, like, look at the amount of work that went into accomplishing that.
Yeah. Okay.
Like, that is objectively a lot of hard work, self-restraint, and discipline. Therefore, that correlates to something good.
Okay.
In most senses. Now, I do understand the argument women make for preferring the for the first photo, because depending on what you're looking for in a mate, how somebody dresses, what they focus on signals their beliefs and their values. So if it's guys talking about women, a woman who posts excessive selfies and dressing revealingly in those selfies, it signals a certain level of self-obsession and a certain level of need for validation from other people. So you're not judging them based on their appearance. You're judging them based on what you think that appearance says about who they are, even if it's not true.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I see the after photo, I see someone who works out at a gym. In the first photo, it looks like someone who works out by, like, doing manual labor. Like, it signals different values.
Manual labor guys have beer bellies 9 times out of 10, and they're probably stronger than this guy.
Well, there's that too.
Because they drink a lot.
This looks to me like a dude who works out but just doesn't restrict what he eats.
Yeah, that's
he eats. He goes to the sports bar on Friday night. He has beers, but he also works out several days a week.
Like, let me put it this way: like 90% of men would swap for that physique in a heartbeat.
Over the after photo?
No, just in general. Like that in and of itself is already like, oh, wow, this guy works out.
Okay, do you think most men would want to look like the after photo or the before?
The after, for sure.
Okay.
We all sit around and drink.
But they wouldn't say no to the first one either.
No, the first one's like, I mean, I'll take it.
Yeah.
Okay. So do you guys think that the women who say that the after photo is unattractive are lying?
No.
No?
I can totally see why having a bit more, like, filled out would be more attractive.
Yeah.
Evolutionarily, and then also just with current tastes. It makes sense.
I also think that's a question of demographics. I think there's absolutely a portion of women that would choose the second one, but they wouldn't lie about it either. They'd be like, no, I prefer that one.
Yeah. I mean, so some people were saying, like, women lie about this because, like, they're fat, so they would feel threatened by being with a guy who's not fat.
Well, no, like,
which is ridiculous because in the first photo, he is not fat at all. At all. And, like, myself included, I'm not fat, and I also, like, wouldn't want to be with a guy who's, like, skinny like that. Like, that's weird. It's just kind of uncanny valley.
I mean, I don't see that dude as skinny. He's just cut. He's not. Like,
what I mean by that
skinny,
is
when I think of skinny,
what I mean by that is that he has
about,
no
like,
fat. Yeah. That's what I mean by that.
Like, they get in an argument. He's like, yeah, well, who has less body fat?
Yeah.
Whose body fat percentage is lower, huh?
That would work.
And then here were some of the comments. The aesthetics of a man who poses gives them the ick. But if both were shirtless at a beach, they'd probably prefer the after photo.
I like this one here, personally. I'm old enough to remember when women were creaming their pants over this photo, and it's Luigi Mangione.
Well, okay, all of the women who had a crush on Luigi were insane to begin with, so we don't need to listen to their opinions. And not to mention the fact that women's brains have been altered chemically to prefer less masculine men because of hormonal birth control, so let's factor that in as well. But personally, I can say I don't have any ulterior motives in finding the before photo preferable.
He's got the Walton Goggins hairline.
I think that might be an issue for him. He doesn't need to work on his body. He needs to get hair transplants. This was a response from one of the women. He looks better in the before. Women are correct on this one. Guys obsess over these supremely tight-toned muscles, and they shouldn't.
Well, this is just a semantics argument. What looks better and what looks more attractive. So it's like I think if anyone's honest, what looks better is the second. If you're coming from like a bodybuilding
men
perspective.
actually have this same argument where there's a subset of men who say that if you like women that are muscular, that you're gay.
Okay.
That's the thing.
That's
People
the
say
thing.
that.
That's the thing.
All right. Well, one argument I've seen to that point is that it's considered safe horny. This is a term. It's safe horny to be attracted to women who have more masculine traits these days.
Okay.
Because it's seen as incorrect or offensive or whatever to be attracted to women who are more petite or more feminine stereotypically.
Right.
Because that's seen as like
that's a thing. Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't even know why that would be the case, but they're saying it's more an acceptable form of masculinity to be attracted to a masculine woman.
Weird. Okay. I don't know how I feel. I don't know how I feel.
Which
about
I believe.
Yeah.
I believe that is at least one factor in it. Especially with like all this weird Oedipal energy among Zoomers, like calling their girlfriends mommy and stuff.
But there's also the yearbook.
Yeah, women on the whole are lamenting the lack of masculine and traditionally handsome men in society today. And specifically, this one woman posted photos from Harvard's 1955 yearbook showing young men who I assume are, in their early 20s at the time, who look not only more conventionally attractive, but also more grown up for their age than most 20-year-olds do these days.
I can see the coded stereotype of every single one of these dudes in a 90s movie in this photo with these supposedly like more conventionally, like this dude right here is a dweeb. This dude is third to the best friend. This dude just no. Like none of these is like maybe in those first photos, but all of these other people are just as coded to dorky stereotypes as anybody.
It's 100% true though that people are aging slower. And like, there's a guy, Lindy Man, he talks about it on Twitter all the time. The main reason he suspects this is happening is because you drink a lot more water. Like he talks about people in the like he talks like if you grew up in the 80s or 90s, like think of how many times you drank water. It's like maybe once at the water fountain, maybe you took a swig in the morning. Now people are pounding water nonstop
all day.
And that's I agree with he kind of walked through.
Well, that's one theory, but there are like tons of different reasons why testosterone has plummeted by terrifying degrees since 1955.
Even women are aging slower.
The other thing they're not pointing out here is that these dudes, like 2 years after that, they all looked 80.
She points out there are no women in the yearbook, and the facial physiognomy is drastically different to the point where 60% of the men I'm looking at are attractive, and today I find 10% of men attractive.
I bet you
WTF happened.
I bet you if you put these photos in color and found a way to use AI to make them look digital, she'd find them ugly.
She wondered if maybe it's the absence of hair on the face. In 1955, under 20% had facial hair. And in 2025, 33% of men have facial hair.
I feel like a rebel when I shave. Like, everyone has a beard now.
Or a mustache. There's a lot of that.
My gosh.
I'm sorry, but look at this dude right here. This dude right here ended up starting a tech company.
But there's a good example is if you look at how, because let's just take people at their peak physical performance. If you look at athletes, like if you go and look at like an NBA roster in the 1970s and then you compare it to an NBA roster now, it is night and day. Like the guys in the 70s, they're balding, their skin's wrinkly, they look like they're in their 40s, and they'd be like 25. Like it's 100% true that
even
people are aging slower.
You see videos from high schools in even the 90s, as recently as the 90s, where it's not just the clothing they're wearing. It's not just the haircuts. It's not the fashion of the day. These teenagers legitimately look more mature. They look older than teenagers do today. Yeah. And I think the same would go for young people in their early 20s. They just seem to have an actually different bone structure And
is it that they're wearing suits? People in the chat are saying it's because they're wearing suits.
No.
Is it because they're
Well,
wearing
No,
suits?
if
that's
people
part
wear
of
suits
it.
now my age and it looks off.
it's part of it, though. Like, they did dress better. They did, like, have better haircuts. And there's also, like, the fact that these are black and white photos that are flattering no matter who you are.
Yeah, because there's no detail to them because it's a screen, it's a Xerox copy of a photo that was shrunk down to fit in a yearbook.
Well, and that's why I brought up like comparing the roster pictures because it's the exact same. There's no other factors involved. They're literally wearing the same uniform. It's the same context. The photos are relatively the same quality, and you will see that the men in the 70s and 80s looked far older, or I should say, we looked far younger than they looked.
Some of this EVP say that it's down to lifestyle, less movement, more stress, worse food.
Yeah.
The biggest culprit could be endocrine disruptors, finding them in plastics, cosmetics, tap water, fast food wrappers, medicine, detergent, vinyl flooring. These chemicals interfere with the body's hormone production and reception. Our poor eating habits and constant exposure to processed chemical-laden foods may also be affecting the way men look today. In 1955, men weren't glued to screens or living off of ultra-processed meals full of seed oils. They were lean by default. Now, more than 40% of American men are classified as morbidly obese. And even among those who aren't, a sedentary lifestyle and poor nutrition have shifted the average male body into something softer and less defined. Excess fat, inflammation, and improper breathing and poor posture play a role. Things that can subtly distort the facial structure and blur symmetry we used to see, paired with declining testosterone, facial hair trends, and a noticeable drop in masculinity, it's not hard to see how we got here. But I guess some men hope that they can make up the difference by going hard at the gym, and it's just not really hitting the same. Like, I think it's a lot of guys who are mad that they can't put in work to be more desirable.
What do you mean?
Like, it's a comforting thought that if you put enough work in, then you can be attractive to most women. But that's actually not true. Because there are so many other intangible factors to being attractive to women other than things you can work for and get viable results in a timeline.
In a physical sense, or like, do you mean just like physically?
Yeah, I think that a lot of men like find it comforting to think that they can just physically change themselves with a process that is 12 weeks long or whatever and be attractive to the majority of women, but that's not a simple solution.
Well, that's why like the self-improvement stuff's starting to sputter out because the primary driver was like, this will make you more attractive to women. People realized that was wrong. You should still do these things because these are good for you.
Yeah.
But don't do it if you're trying to attract a partner because like it's not going to work.
Yeah, that's coming at it from the wrong intention.
Go to places with really high birth rates. You're not going to see any of the self-improvement stuff going on. I'll put it that way.
Yep.
Yeah, self-improvement is like truly becoming an idol for people these days.
If anything, like the most attractive people I know are the ones that are single, and then the people that are a little rough around the edges, they always have a wife when they're like 19. Like it's 100% true. So it's like no, it's way deeper than that.
Thanks for watching. Listen to full episodes of Pop Culture Crisis on Spotify.
Keep up with us on social media and make sure you subscribe and ring that bell so you never miss the show. Bye, guys.